certainly cold over there. Thank you, Nick. Well, with the holiday season comes a lot of extravagant dinners, treats, and more. And Mayo Clinic's Wellness Executive Chef Jen Welper is back with us today on Midwest Access to tell us a little bit more about the new Mayo Clinic diet and cook a healthy meal with us. So, Chef Jen, what are we cooking up today?
We are going to make some basil pesto stuffed mushrooms, and we are going to make some homemade basil pesto. You can also buy it, but I like to make homemade as well. And kind of the best thing about this to make it worth making is you can kind of cross-utilize this. So we can use the fresh basil, make the pesto, and we can add pasta to this. We can put it over our chicken breasts. We can do all sorts of things. So it kind of makes it worth the effort of, making it homemade. And so we're just going to use a little food processor. You can certainly chop everything, but I like to be efficient.
It's a little bit easier if the machine does it.
Yes, exactly. And people ask me all the time, too, because I'm using fresh garlic, can I just use the jarred stuff? And you certainly can, but there is a bigger quality difference, I feel, with the fresh versus the jarred. We'll use just a small amount of olive oil just to kind of get things moving in here. And then we have some Parmesan cheese, fresh stuff, and then we have pumpkin seeds.
Oh,
now,
there we go.
Most people are like, pumpkin seeds? Usually it's like pine nuts. In all honesty, there's always were nut allergies growing up, so I just thought it was always best to just kind of avoid any type of nut allergies.
Right, that makes sense. So while this is churning, tell us a little bit about this new Mayo Clinic diet.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have this Mayo Clinic diet app, which is phenomenal. We actually have this assessment that anybody can take, and you can kind of figure out what type of diet you should actually be on, because I think a lot of times we go on diets that don't necessarily work for us, and we don't necessarily know why. And so this little assessment on our diet app really makes that super easy, and you literally fill it out, and anyone can do it, like I said, and then you can really kind of navigate all the little parameters that you might. Maybe you should be on keto, maybe you should be something that's more like low carb or what have you. So from here, we'll just add a little bit of salt to this, and then stuff our little mushrooms.
It looks great. It smells good, too.
Right?
A lot of different smells going on over here.
Yes. We can have a little fun with this, too, and we can add, I did bring a little feta, so we could do a little pesto and feta with this.
Right, absolutely. So, with somebody who would sign up for this diet app, how would this meal kind of fit in?
Well, this is something where it's like, okay, because typically when you're on a diet, you feel like everything's bland, boring, and you can feel like, hey, I can have an appetizer, I can bring an appetizer, and it's going to taste good, and I'm going to have some vegetables with it, too. So this where it kind of feels like it's more well-rounded, and then I know that my efforts will not be like, oh, they brought diet food, right? And so it's a little bit more interesting and enticing. So I think a big part of this is really just staying really practical and making sure that diet food does not have to be this awful thing. And usually when I make things like this, I don't tell people it's healthy because it just gives a bad connotation, and they usually just avoid it.
Right, absolutely.
And then of course we have a little bit of panko crunch here, because we obviously want to have a little bit of crunch with our stuffed mushrooms once they bake.
Absolutely.
And then this has just a little bit of olive oil in it. You can use a little bit of butter if you'd like, and that's just going to give it this nice crispy brown crust once we pull it out of the oven.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks good. It's good to have that crunch, like you said. It looks like it's going to be amazing for sure, and something that's very simple to make.
Yes, absolutely, and that's kind of like the thing is not a ton of ingredients. We can cross-utilize this. It's something for someone who is on a meal plan. They can kind of plan this out. Maybe they'll have something with pesto, 3 times that week, or maybe some of this will go onto their breakfast or what have you. So it makes it really easy and efficient.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, hey, we got to get to a commercial break. We'll have more with Chef Jen after our first break. Still to come on Midwest Access, we'll be talking to the co-owner of Cafe Steam. But first, we have to take a look at our local headlines. There's Darian Letty in our newsroom. We'll be right back.